Hey guys, welcome to Jacob and the Word, a little series where I read through and interpret the Bible bit by bit. My name is Jacob, and today we're continuing with the book of Mark. I'm no expert, but I've been loving every minute that I've read so far, so let's dive in together. Today we're going to continue with the baptism and the testing of Jesus. At that time, Jesus came from Nazareth in Galilee and was baptized by John in the Jordan. Just as Jesus was coming out of the water, he saw heaven being torn open and the Spirit descending on him like a dove. And a voice came from heaven, "You are my Son, whom I love. With you I am well pleased." At once the Spirit sent him out into the wilderness, and he was taken in the wilderness for 40 days, being tempted by Satan. He was with the wild animals, and angels attended him. Another short and sweet little chapter there. I'm going to break it down little bit by bit. At that time, Jesus came from Nazareth in Galilee and was baptized by John in the Jordan. So we are jumping in with the book of Mark. We kind of skip all of the childhood stuff about Jesus and all of the story of his parents and Bethlehem and all that good stuff. And it just states straight out, he came from Nazareth in Galilee and was baptized by John in the Jordan. John, after having gone through all of his trials and tribulations of baptizing, well, all the practice and the repetitions, I guess you could say, of baptizing the thousands and thousands of people from Jerusalem, all of the holy, the chosen ones, and now he has the Son of God here as his decision to baptize. Just as Jesus was coming up out of the water, he saw heaven being torn open and the Spirit descending on him like a dove. So I could imagine in a scene like this, just as Jesus is emerging from the water, he then also has the clouds breaking open and giving light, and you have those majestic, godlike beams of light, or in this sense, literal, the God coming down and showing love and grace onto him. But it says, being torn open and the Spirit descending on him like a dove. So it's with beauty, it's with grace, it's with softness, it's with gentleness as well. It's a really awesome way of describing the way that the Spirit is descending on him. And then we follow on to hear a little bit of words directly from the Lord and from the big guy himself. A voice came from heaven. "You are my Son, whom I love. With you I am well pleased." At once the Spirit sent him out into the wilderness, and he was in the wilderness for 40 days being tempted by Satan. Now, it's pretty interesting. He goes out and he says, "You are my Son, whom I love. With you I am well pleased." He's telling you, it's a disclaimer, hey, I love you. I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you're here. I'm very grateful for all the things that you've done, and I am pleased with your actions and with all the things that you have accomplished. That being said, off you go. It's time to go out into the desert. It's time for you to go out and begin this journey. And for 40 days, being tempted by Satan. Now, I was curious, and so I went over and did a little bit of looking at the book of Luke and found a little bit more details of the temptations. Eventually, I do plan on getting into the book of Luke, but first, we're going to have a good old gander at the book of Mark, and we'll get over there lately. But there are some pretty interesting temptations that he goes through in the book of Luke in regards to the temptations of Satan. From my understanding, and the reason that I have decided to start with Mark and the first and only of the Gospels that I have read into the entirety is the book of Mark, because it's the most action-packed. It's the shortest of the Gospels, and it is very quick to getting to the point of the main chunks of the story. So if you'll bear with us as we may jump over some of the details of the stories that other books go through. I'm more or less in the dark of that as well. If you're super curious, you can dive into the book of Luke briefly. But moving on, he was with wild animals, and angels attended him. So it's another one of those balances, another one of the yin and yang, the good and evil kind of forces at play that are working through here. They have the wild animals, which are very dangerous. It's the wild, they're animals, they're unknown of what they may do. A lot of times, if you were to be sent out into the wilderness for 40 days at all, then you would be likely in a lot of potential danger from the wild animals, whether, depending on the continent you're in, of course. In a place like North America, there could be the bears and wolves and cougars. I imagine a lot of that's in Europe as well. If you are in a place like Australia, where I'm currently at just for a short chunk of time, the wild animals in the outback of Australia are bonkers, and I wouldn't want to be stuck face to face with a bunch of those guys for 40 days. That could be absolutely insane. But it then finishes off with, and angels attended him. So even though God was starting with, I'm happy with you and I'm pleased, and showing that he has lots of love for Jesus immediately after he had immersed from his baptism through the baptism of the most qualified Baptist, John the Baptist, is then immediately showered with love from the Lord, and also immediately sent into the desert for his trials, for his temptations. I guess it's kind of like a graduation ceremony, you could say. When you finish off your high school, you finish off your degree of sorts, and then, okay, now you're done your schooling, we have your celebration, and now it's time. You got to go directly out into the world and to go see what the world has to offer and stand for the trials and tribulations, all the tests, the ups and the downs. This is a short but beautiful little piece here. Well, all right, friends, that's it for now. Until next time, God bless.